Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. My first job out of law school was working for a United States Senator from Alabama, a Democrat. I fell in love with the Senate. I just love the institution. I love the history. And I was very blessed in my life to have a number of doors open for me. And I chose wisely.
Is there one door that you can think of where you think back and you say, aha, that's the one?
I had been an assistant U.S. attorney for 4 years, and then I went into private practice. I never thought I would get to be the U.S. attorney, but then something happened. The U.S. attorney that passed away unexpectedly, that opened up a vacancy that I thought had passed me by. I decided to take a leap of faith. And after leaving the job as United States attorney, I thought I might run in 2002. But then something happened, and 9/11 happened. It just didn't feel right to campaign in a post 9/11 world, not that close. And so that door was open, but I decided to not take that door. And that was a good decision as well. The next big door that opened was in 2017 when the incumbent Senator Jeff Sessions, who I thought about running against 12 years earlier, decided he would become Attorney General. And a special election was called, and it was time to get back into public service in a big way. One of the things that happened, the minute I got sworn in as U.S. Attorney, we opened up the case, or pursued the case, of the 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, where 4 young girls were killed. And we successfully prosecuted those guys. For the deaths of those 4 little girls, it went so long without justice. And it changes you as a lawyer, it changes you as a person. And it really makes you a better person. But what people don't realize a lot going on behind the scenes, that there's a fair amount of camaraderie and bipartisanship. Is not just coming in and saying, I'd love for you to work with you, but you got to do it my way. You can't do that. You got to go where they are. Understand, listen to their cares and concerns, work this legislation, because at the end of the day, there is so much more that we have in common than divides. I ended up sponsoring, as a lead sponsor, about 26 bills that got enacted into law, bipartisan bills that got enacted into law. Number one, we increased funding for historically black colleges and universities. We did a cold case civil rights act commission. That was a real bipartisan bill. Senator Ted Cruz from Texas and I took that bill and got it passed unanimously in the Senate. We started a tradition of reading Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail on the floor of the Senate. 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans that do that every year. I've tried to make clear that it is wrong to use immoral means to attain moral ends. Probably the most significant thing, the one that is probably closest to my heart, was one that we did for military widows. When I got to the Senate, I learned that there were what was called a military widows tax. So Susan and Collins and I in the Senate really took that up. We did what nobody thought we could do, is to get that military widows tax repealed. Gonna add about $1,000 a month to a lot of the pensioners and widows. That meant so much to those people. It's tough having kids and trying to maintain that balance with your family and your children and your spouse. It's not an easy life sometimes. And there were ups and downs on all of that. But overall, I think we've done a pretty good job at it. Nothing happened overnight. When you walk through those doors of opportunity, things don't just change automatically. You still got to work at it. You still got to put in the time.
Would you recommend this life?
Absolutely. I would recommend it with one condition. Do it for the right reason. Do it because you want to serve others, not yourself. This is not an ego trip. You've got to find a passion. People have to remember that political office is public service. Trust me, I see the dysfunction from one end of the country to the other. And you can't really complain about how the game's being played if you don't get in there yourself. Get in the game. Vote. Get involved in campaigns. Knock on doors. Get engaged. That's how we change this country. We have been blessed with so many things, But the most cherished thing we have in this country is the right to vote. And if you don't vote, you're not going to protect it. So vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does.